After decades of walking with Jesus, Larson Hudson, 80, went home to be with his Heavenly Father on June 24th, 2020. He set an amazing example in everything that he did. He was an outstanding son. He was a loving, beloved husband to Ruth Hudson for 54 years. He was a great father to his 3 children, Laura McAllister, Doug Hudson, and Marilyn Rose. He was even a great father-in-law to Barry and Kelly Brad. He was called Pa by his, is that Pa or Pa? How's that go? Pa, all right. I gotta get that right. By his 8 grandchildren, Madeline, Sarah, Kate Bradley, Emily, Abby, Matthew, Harper, and Rachel. And absolutely, he adored him, he adored them, and they adored him. He was wise, he was humble, he was a great listener, he was an amazing encourager. He was a source of peace to anyone who knew him. His friends and family just loved sitting and being with him. He helped thousands of people in his 40 years as an owner and proprietor of Beltone and Better Hearing Aid centers in Bowling Green, Glasgow, and Campbellsville, Kentucky. He loved helping people and excelled in his profession. He served as president of the Hearing Aid Association of Kentucky, served on the Kentucky Licensing Board, and was awarded the Beltone President's Cup. He did not need or want accolades. He wanted to serve and help those he loved. And he did it until he moved on to his true home in heaven. He loved Jesus. He worked hard. He served always. He gave freely. He loved well. He was preceded in death by his mother, Emily Hudson Milton. Before I pray, I want to say a few words that I literally woke up with this morning. I won't tell you what time it was, but when it was obvious that the Lord wouldn't let me go back to sleep, I got up and decided to put some things on paper. And I just want to say that I see, will see, Larson Hudson everywhere. Not as a ghost, but as a legacy, as a heritage of a well-lived life. A life lived by faith, a life that left a mark on me and my wife and my family in less than 5 years of knowing them. Just absolutely unbelievable to think about that. And it's not like the mark of just a friend or a brother in Christ. It's more like the mark of a father. When I hear the word hey, I will always think of Larson Hudson. When I enter the doors of the Greenwood Park building, I'll think of him. When I see my friends, Brad and Marilyn, and think of Grace Marriage, I'll think of him. And by the way, when I think of him, I'll think of Ruth. When I see my friend David Kimball, and I eat lunch with him, one of the most positive people I know on this earth. And I know a great part of that is his wonderful upbringing by his parents, but I know another part of that is the tremendous influence that Larson Hudson had. Taking a chance on a young man and providing him with what's become a great future and a great profession. Every time I think of the Holy Lands, I'll thank God that I was able to experience them with Larson and Ruth. When I see my house, I'll think about their hospitality, about gifts and personal gifts and moments of that they've shared with us and things that are just between us. We're so thankful for. When I see my daughter Amelia and my son-in-law Clay, I will most certainly think about their face at their wedding reception, where the moment of moments was when Larson and Ruth won the dancing contest. And looking at my daughter, which you do when you're the father, looking at the bride and the groom, seeing them look on in awe, knowing that what a gift it was for them to see, this is why we got married, this is what we're going to be. What a blessing it was for them. When I see my grandchildren, I'm going to see his grandchildren. I'm going to see your love that was so clear yesterday. But you're going to miss him and how much you love him. When I preach, I'm going to think about all the encouragement, all the engagement of Ruth and Larson both being engaged in what was going on, and just absolutely making me think you could could preach anywhere or anytime. When I pray, I'm going to think about the photo that Ruth shared with me just 2 or 3 days ago. The photo that she took of him beside his bed, doing what he did every night, kneeling beside the bed and praying. Those are just a few things that came to my mind that I just wanted to share, that I'm going to think about when I think about Larson and the influence and impact he's had on my life. And so grateful to be blessed with having you in our lives, and now your family. I've got to know you a little better than this. Let's pray together. Lord, what can we say today? Thank you. Lord. Thank you. Thank you for blessing each person here with the gift of Larson Hudson. Loving husband, loving father and grandfather, faithful and loving friend and brother, devoted follower of Jesus Christ. We thank you for the heritage of faith, the legacy of lives in this room and all over Greenwood Park and the community that's been touched by them. Lord, the earth lost a mighty warden. It's just not going to be the same here. But we know heaven's rejoicing. And that's what we pray for in just that song that began this service. That you would give each person, especially the family here, give them that image of a vision of where he is now and what he's experiencing now. And as you now turn this morning and this earth into dancing, make this day as best it can be, because there's going to be mourning and there's going to be tears. But make it as much as possible a day of celebration, because we know that's what's happening now. For now, Lord, we pray that you will comfort everyone here, especially Ruth, children, and grandchildren. That your peace that passes all understanding guard their hearts.
There's a stirring deep within me. Could it be my time has come? When I see my gracious Savior face to face, when all is done, is that his voice I am hearing? Come away, my precious one. Is he calling me? Is he calling me? I will rise up, and of the there is a my cross, and his precious wound at There's a stirring deep within me. Could it be my time has come? When I see my gracious Savior face to face, when all is done, is that his voice I am hearing? Come away, my precious one. Is he calling me? Is he calling me? I will rise up, and
I don't want to be here today. It's one of the most difficult days of my life. And one of the most difficult days in many of our lives. And then actually we knew it would come, but we thought it'd be a little bit later. 13 years ago, as we raced up the interstate for a heart attack, we were praying that he would be alive when we got there, and he was. God gave us 13 more years he got to know his grandchildren. So we come to honor and celebrate the life of a man who embraced life as much as anyone I've ever known. And God blessed him with a passing. Him and Bill Kimball are the two that had the best passing I've ever known. Having your full faculties up to the very end and then trailing off quickly. Larson went quicker than Bill did. But boy, Larson was a loving and devoted husband and a tremendous dad, a wonderful father, fantastic friend, and some of our feelings are described from a scene in one of my favorite movies. And I've mentioned this at only one other funeral, and that was 6 years ago at Grant Klein's. It's a scene from the movie Shawshank Redemption, where Morgan Freeman's sitting in the prison yard after his friend Andy Dufresne had escaped. And Morgan's character is Red, and here's what he says. Sometimes it makes me sad, though, Andy being gone. I have to remind myself that some birds are not meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. But still, the place you live in is that much more drab and empty that they're gone. I guess I just miss my friend. So if we're to be honest, we have to say that Larson's passing is incredibly sad for us. And the place where we live is much more drab and empty. And yet, if we really believe what we say we believe, if we really believe what Larson believed, then there's a peace, there's a stirring deep within. A peace from God Himself, and a peace that passes understanding, and a peace that is greater than the tears. A peace that only the Holy Spirit of our loving God can provide. Larson embraced life as much as any man I've ever known. And I've known a few. I think what is said about King David in 2 Chronicles applies in large part to Larson, where the scripture says, he died at a good old age, having enjoyed long life, wealth, and honor. Now, he would disagree with me at old age, and I would too. 80's not as old as it once was. For those of you grandkids, it's ancient. It's not. But I would say he certainly enjoyed life. He was blessed with wealth, and he enjoyed it. And he enjoyed honor of the people. I can assure you that Greenwood Park would be filled to overflowing were it not for this ridiculous virus. But those of us who are here are privileged and blessed, and thank you for allowing us to walk with you. Larson loved life, and here's what I mean by that. I mean that he loved adventure and quality. Whenever he showed me a car or a boat, he talked about the motor first. And a grin across his face when he talked about how fast it would go, whether on land or water. or whatever. One of the pictures is of him and Doug in Indy suits, and as the Lord would work it out, I happened to be there that day with my brother, and I saw Larson Hudson driving an Indy car. It was so fitting. And I have been down a few roads, and I've been a few places on Barren River Lake with Larson at the wheel, and his hair flying and a smile from ear to ear. So some of these pictures with his hair all coiffed and neatly done, that was partly Larson, but most of it was hair wild and crazy and a grin on his face. He loved adventure and quality. He loved his friends. Whether it was a trip to Egypt, or a dinner at Longhorn, time at the lake, or sitting in their house, he enjoyed being with friends, and he was a good friend. And he was truly one of the very best friends I've ever had in my life. My best friend is my wife. Larson was truly one of the very best friends I've ever had or ever will have. Because we've been together for over 35 years. And in fact, in 40 years of ministry, there have been many times that I've been close to quitting. And I can tell you, wherever you worship, without fail, if your pastor, your minister, has had various times in life when they have been this close to quitting. Many do, every year. The Lord doesn't lay you down, but people, that can be a challenge. And so I've been at the precipice on various occasions. The Lord God Himself, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit have kept me in ministry, but they used 3 people on this planet to keep me rooted. Number 1 is my wife. Number 2 is Larson Hudson. And the third one was a dear minister in Nashville. And whenever I get close, Donna would say, "You go see Larson." So I'd get in the car and I'd come up and I'd see Larson. Sometimes I'd stay the night. And Ruth would say, "Oh, are y'all having a sleepover?" I said, "No, middle school girls have sleepovers. I'm just staying here." Larson was my Barnabas. So he loved adventure and quality. He loved his friends. Do you know what? I know you'll be shocked. He loved his family. It's a surprise to you. You didn't know it. Because if you were around him for any more than 5 minutes, you hear him talk about his family with a spark in his eye and a smile on his face that exceeded the spark and the smile when he talked about his cars and his boat. Far exceeded it. Second only to the Lord, you were the love of his life, the joy of his life. You filled his life. He talked about each of you by name. Now let me tell you what Laura's doing. Let me fill you in on Doug. Well, Marilyn's doing this. And then the grandkids. I'd like to call all the grandkids up front now. Now, when my father died, I'm one of 3 boys, and I could speak, and my middle brother could speak. My youngest brother, he just couldn't do it. But he still loved our dad just as much as we did. Okay? But I wanted you to stand up so your grandma and your parents and your friends could see you and see the legacy that Pa leaves. And if you want to say something, now's the time. And if you don't, you want me to read it, I will. But I want you to know that there's no pressure. Okay? So, do one of you want to say something? Little, you got your paper, you want me to read it for you? Okay, I will read it. Do some of y'all want to speak?
When Paul and I would walk through a parking lot, he'd always hold my hand and say, "Don't worry, get ran over." And I'd always laugh, but I never knew how special those moments were until my dad came home crying. Since he died, I always say, "I love you, Paul." And I feel like he can hear it, and I wish I could see him one more time, but I know someday I will.
Thank you. I'll just pass this down. If you don't want to say anything, just pass it.
Paul, honestly, I don't know where to start. You were one of my favorite people to be around. I couldn't have asked for a better grandpa or friend. You've always been one of the best people I know. Your relationship with the Lord has truly inspired me. You have set so many great examples for me and all of the grandchildren. I'm going to miss so much about you. Your voice was so calming, and I always felt at peace when I was around you. I admire you and Granny's relationship so much. I enjoy listening to my mom tell stories about you from when she was a kid. You really live life to the fullest. I want to be just like you someday. When I wanted to talk to you, I could always find you outside. You love to be outside so much. When I sit on your porch, it makes me think of you, and I love that. I loved hearing you laugh, and I respected you more than you could ever know. It's indescribable how much you will be missed. You were the best grandpa. You loved so well to everyone around you. I'm so glad you were here for the first 16 years of my life. I truly don't know what I'm going to do without you. If I've learned anything, it's to be more like you. I'm really going to miss our porch talks, breakfast rounds, lake weekends, family trips, laughing at the movies Grandma would pick out to watch, running around the farm with you, sitting on your lap watching basketball games, playing cards, listening to your stories, telling you everything, and even talking about cards. I could go on and on about all the things I love to do with you. You meant the world to me and everyone that knew you. You were wise, gentle, loving, calm, caring, patient, and funny. Put everyone else first. I could have talked to you forever, and there's so much more I could say. Paul, I'll never forget you, and I wouldn't be the same person without you in my life. I can't wait to see you again one day. I love you endlessly.
Yesterday, Pastor Brazil preached about living life worth pursuing. Sitting there, all I could think was how Paul lived life worth pursuing, how Paul was always teaching me lessons so that I could live life worth pursuing. Like how Paul taught me work ethic, respect, responsibility, and not to talk just to talk. And most importantly, that Lord is our Savior. And if I can believe and do all those things, I can live life worth pursuing. But Paul didn't keep all that joy to himself. Paul did his best to brighten everyone else's lives too. And I pray I can live life half as well as he did.
You're honored to get to speak at Paul's funeral. Honestly, couldn't have asked for a better grandfather.
You just got real close.
Okay. I'll always remember our time together at the lake. You really knew how to send us sailing off the tube, and it was so much fun. You'd hit those waves and we'd fly, and I just think I'm the coolest grandpa. Thank you for loving me and my family so well. You made my mom set her standards so high, and with those high standards, she found my dad. Thank you for loving my mom so well. Also, thank you for loving my granddad. 54 years of marriage just sets a beautiful example of true love, sacrifice, patience. You have a calming presence about you. Just the sound of your voice is calming. You love the Lord with all your heart, and you loved your family fiercely. You set an example of love, kindness, selflessness, and grace. You looked for ways to serve others and went the extra mile in everything you did, and I just strive to be like you. I strive to love like you, work hard like you, grow in my faith like you, and always look for ways to serve rather than be served like you. You were also a very strong man. You had yourself a full bench pressing set. I could barely lift that bar. You're a tough man who really knew how to live the life God wanted you to live. And thank you for blessing me with your presence for 21 years. It's something I'll never take for granted. I love you, Paul, and I can't wait to see you again one day. I always loved going to Bowling Green to visit my sweet grandma, Paul. I sleep in late, and every morning when I would wake up, Paul would always make sure to have every morning I would wake up, Paul would make sure that there'd be either Riley's Bakery donuts or an Egg McMuffin left on the counter for me. Without even asking, he would look for little ways to bless me. This is a beautiful picture of how he lived his entire life. A quiet, humble servant. He was a humble and steady servant to the Lord first, and then to the ones that he loved. I strive to be the steady in my walk with the Lord and with others, and I have the best example for my sweet Paul. There's a beautiful picture of Paul praying on his knees on his last Saturday on earth, as he did faithfully every night. Along with his walk with the Lord, he always loved blessing others, wanting no credit and nothing in return.
Whether it was a minor inconvenience or a major trial, Paul was a quiet listener and a wonderful picture of patience and grace. He loved my sweet Grandma for 54 plus years and helped shape my mom into the wonderful woman she is today. Paul, you'll be missed dearly, but you have truly earned your eternity in paradise.
I am so glad I got to spend all these special moments in quarantine with Paul. I loved coming to see Paul every day. None of us treated this year like our last year with you, but you always said, when it's my time, call me home.
Paul, I just want to thank you so much for all the great memories and times we've had throughout the years. All my life, I've loved all the donut runs, playing cards, and holidays with you, but I am especially grateful to have gotten more dinners and hangouts over the past few months. I've cherished all the time I was given with you, though I always wish you had more. No one in the whole world could have got a better and kinder Paul than we have. I love and miss you so much, but I know you're such a wonderful place. I always remember going to your other Paul's house and waking up with fresh donuts that Paul ran out to get up. He got up early to go get. He taught me how to be kind and loving no matter what anyone said or always did, and he was always someone I looked up to. Someone I always wanted to go see, and someone I always enjoyed talking to.
Thank you. Now we want to hear from the kids, starting with the baby, Marilyn. Dear Dad, I'm so thankful that it was in His plan for you to turn 80. I pray it is in His plan for you to turn 90 and 100. You are a blessing and godly example to all who know you. I'm certain when you get to heaven, you'll find out that you've impacted so many more lives than you could imagine. And that's just one of the many things I love about you. You're so humble and don't see the many, many gifts you bring to our family and others. You never make the focus about you. You never seem to be worried about yourself, just on making sure everyone else feels at home. You'd say, if there's anything you need, just holler to anyone I've ever brought home or to the lake. And I always knew that went for me too. If I ever needed anything, you were always there for me. There to celebrate with me in the good and to love me in the hard. I remember you just dropping what you were doing and coming to Nashville when I called you crying and asked if you could come see me at Lipscomb. You're the best encourager I know. It's one of your great gifts. You always believed in me even when I doubted myself. When I struggled in school, you would tell me over and over again how smart I was, how I had great people skills. You told me over and over I could do anything I set my mind to. And because you instilled that in me, I felt I could. Because you believed, I grew in confidence and have not struggled with insecurity. Your love nourished my soul and helped me thrive. I thank God for the gift of you as a father. You're the best listener I know. My memories with you over my whole life are so sweet and full of times when you were there to listen. All of those breakfasts when I'm sure lots of my talk was over silly girl stuff. You never once rolled your eyes or made me feel like my issues were trivial. Now that I have daughters, I don't know how you did that. Everything was so important to me. You made it important to you. I wanted to talk with you about everything. I wanted to be like you. And even though I was a girl, I picked out a black 10-speed to be like you. I'll never forget that day you took me in the bike shop. I wanted to work out like you, be at the lake with you, take care of our cars with you, work in the yard with you, sit on your lap and watch Solid Gold, and on I could go, Solid Gold. I'm so glad I didn't read this before today. And I'm so glad I didn't see that picture of him and your mom when they were young. Oh. Solid Gold, you gotta be kidding me. Now I've lost my place, okay. If you like it, I like it. I love crawling up in your lap in the evenings and watching TV. I loved it when you grabbed my hand and squeezed it at church every week or in the car. I still do. I wanted to be close to you. And you let me. That made me feel so special. It makes me cry writing this. You give, and you give of yourself to your family and others, asking nothing in return. You are like the giving tree. You seem to bring joy any time you can do something for someone else. You never grumble or complain when you serve. What an example it's been to me. Your giving has spoiled me. To that, all the rest of the family says, Amen. Your family is spoiled. From time to time I was little, you loved to give to me. I remember when we'd go shopping for Mom, you'd always ask what you could buy for me, even if it was expensive. Yes, jeans. You would often ask if there's anything I needed, and you still remind me that you're there if there's anything I need. You are the best dad a daughter can ask for. I pray you are as blessed as I am. I love you, and I thank God for you. From Doug. Dad, 42 years ago, I gave you a little statue inscribed, "My dad is my best pal." You were always there to listen and help when I needed it. You offered kindness and grace when I didn't deserve it. And over the years, your special way of guiding without judging somehow delivered clear expectations. Seeing how God worked through you makes me want to be a better man. Every time I see Mom's bowl of fruits of the Spirit on the table, it's you that comes to mind. What a wonderful legacy to leave behind. You were such an amazing father that you gained a few others along the way who thought of you as a dad. I'm grateful for those brothers I have because of you. These past few days have been difficult because I know when I pull up to the gate at the farm, you won't be there to work on a project or just to ride around or fish or visit or enjoy or chat on the back porch. Right now, I see you everywhere out here, and I'll be grateful for that pain to change into wonderful memories, and it will. It will. The pain lessens. It doesn't ever completely go away, but it does lessen, and you will see Him everywhere. I thank God for choosing you to be my dad, and I know that you are enjoying the ultimate reward for your salvation and a life well lived. I'm sure your mom was glad to see you and welcome you the first few moments in heaven. I know you were ready to go home. I just wasn't ready for you to go. I miss you terribly, and I know that this grief is the price of the truth inscribed on that little statue I gave you. My dad is my best pal. I promise to love Mom and the girls. I will earnestly look forward to seeing you again. Your son, Doug. And the first one. Laura says, my father was our leader. He was not concerned about title or position. He was present with you in every moment and was only concerned with me and my best interest, never thinking of himself. He has shown us what leading like Jesus looks like, with your heart, head, hands, and habits. All through my growing up and adulthood, whether we were close or far away in terms of geography, I always knew in my heart that you were right there for me. All I had to do was call. You would always stop for me and listen. And you'd have a thought or some wisdom to help me think things through. You would not solve things for me. You taught me how to think and make good judgments. Whenever I walked in the door, you always had a smile and a hug saying, love my girl. I can hear your voice in my head. I always remember that wise, strong voice that gives me comfort. And when I'd leave, you'd often tell me, keep it under 100, knowing that I like to drive fast. Somehow you instilled in me a can-do attitude that whatever comes my way, I can do it if I set my mind to it. You taught me to count the cost, knowing the goal would require my input, hard work, and commitment. You did not do everything for me. You wanted me to be independent and do things for myself and to learn. And because of you, Dad, I'm confident in life. You said I just needed to be sure that the goal lined up with the Lord's plan. My faith and humility should come first, and God would work out the details. When I think of my father, it's all about the example. He would not preach or badger. You would watch him be a constant, positive encouragement to everyone in his world. I loved to sit by him in church. His big hand would surround mine when prayer came over communion. He would hold me tight. I was secure in my Father's hand and with the Lord. Best feeling ever in my heart. We would always laugh when we sang together in church. We both had bad voices. Yeah. He would say that God would give us a new and better voice one day. Daddy has a beautiful voice now. My father had loads of common sense, was a good judge of character, very thoughtful of others, always ready to share his experiences, very empathetic and understanding about how things thought, what others thought and felt. He would also speak his mind and wouldn't hold back if he needed to say something. Loved his wife and his family fiercely and completely. I want to be like my father. He was an awesome example. Sometimes the Lord speaks to us through His Word. Sometimes through promptings of the Spirit in our lives. Sometimes by billboards. Sometimes by songs on the radio. The Lord speaks to us in many ways if we'll listen. Yesterday, as Donna and I left the funeral home, the first song that came on the radio made me think of Ruth and Larson. It's an old song by a guy named Dan Fogelberg, and I immediately thought of its application to them because whenever I say one name, I sing them together. Hey, we're going to Ruth and Larson's. Hey, what are Ruth and Larson doing? It's always the song is entitled Longer, and I thought of my buddy and his precious wife. Longer than there have been fishes in the ocean, higher than any bird ever flew, longer than there have been stars up in the heavens. I've been in love with you. Stronger than any mountain cathedral, truer than any tree ever grew, deeper than any forest primeval, I'm in love with you. I'll bring you fire in the winters, you'll send showers in the springs, we'll fly through falls and summers with love on our wings. Through the years, as the fire starts to mellow, burning lines in the book of our lives, though the binding cracks and the pages start to yellow, I'll be in love with you. I'll be in love. Larson loved adventure and quality. Loved his friends, loved his family. He loved God. When Ruth showed me that picture that Kenneth that you referred to, it's on the slideshow toward the end. It was taken just within hours of his passing. Kneeling down beside the bed, head bowed, arms folded, as Ruth shared that he did every night, is to me a picture that will be dear to you for the rest of your life. Because it captures, without his knowledge, the essence of who he was and is. So I think of the closing words in Paul's written letters, where he says, I'm already being poured out like a drink offering, and the time has come for my departure. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, how appropriate. I've kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appeal. To all. This is not goodbye. Adventure and quality, friends, family, God. My last words to him yesterday are what I wish to close with today. I patted him and I said, "Well done, buddy. You did it right. Well done."
There is a Redeemer, Jesus, God's own Son, precious Lamb of God, Messiah, Holy One. Thank you, oh my Father, for giving us your Son and leaving your Spirit till the work on earth is done. Jesus, my Redeemer, name above all names, precious Lamb of God, Messiah, oh, for sinners slain. Thank you, oh my Father, for giving us your Son and leaving your Spirit till the work on earth is done. When I stand in glory, I will see his face. There I'll serve my King forever in that holy place. Thank you, oh my Father, for giving us your Son and leaving your Spirit till the work on earth is done.
It's always an honor to serve, but it's especially an honor to serve a fellow veteran who has given of himself to serve his country as well as his family. Thank you for attending today.